In 1972, the Central Intelligence Agency began funding a classified program at Stanford Research Institute in California. The program's objective was to determine whether human beings could perceive distant locations, objects and events using nothing but their minds. No cameras, no satellites, no technology, just consciousness. The program ran for 23 years. It cost over $20 million. It produced results that the CIA itself described as statistically significant. And when it was finally declassified in 1995, the government said it had been shut down because it was not operationally useful. Tonight, I want you to tell me, if it did not work, why did they fund it for 23 years? Comment below. The program went through several names: Scan8, Grill Flame, Center Lane, Sunstreak, and finally, Stargate. The method it investigated is called remote viewing, the alleged ability of a trained individual to perceive and describe a target location or object without any sensory contact with it. The viewer is given nothing but a set of coordinates or a sealed envelope. They then describe what they perceive. The descriptions are recorded, compared against the actual target, and evaluated by independent judges. The two physicists who ran the program at Stanford were Harold Puthoff and Russell Targ. Both were laser physicists with established careers. Puthoff had worked at the National Security Agency. Their involvement was not casual. They designed rigorous double-blind protocols to eliminate fraud, queuing, and cold reading. The experiments were monitored by CIA and Defense Intelligence Agency personnel. Independent oversight committees reviewed the methodology. The first and most famous remote viewer was Ingo Swann. Swann was an artist from New York who claimed psychic abilities. Under controlled conditions at Stanford, Swann was given coordinates, latitude and longitude only, and asked to describe what was there. In one session, he was given coordinates for a location in the Indian Ocean. He described a French-speaking island with a small airstrip and weather monitoring equipment. The target was Kerguelen Island, a remote French territory in the southern Indian Ocean with exactly those features. Swann had never been there. He had no access to maps or reference materials during the session. Another early participant was Pat Price, a retired police commissioner from Burbank, California. Price demonstrated abilities that alarmed the CIA. In one documented test, he was given the coordinates of a Soviet military installation. He described the layout of the facility, identified specific buildings, and provided details about equipment inside them, details that were later confirmed by satellite imagery that Price had no access to. Price's accuracy was so specific that CIA personnel initially suspected he had somehow obtained classified intelligence. He had not. The program expanded through the 1970s and 1980s. The Army established its own operational unit, eventually based at Fort Meade, Maryland, staffed with trained, remote viewers who conducted intelligence gathering sessions against real-world targets. Among the most notable was Joseph McMoneagle, who was awarded the Legion of Merit in 1984 for his contributions to intelligence operations. The citation did not specify the nature of his work. McMoneagle has since publicly stated that his work involved remote viewing. The operational unit at Fort Meade conducted hundreds of sessions targeting Soviet military facilities, hostage locations, drug trafficking operations, and weapons programs. The viewers' reports were provided to requesting agencies alongside conventional intelligence. In some cases, the remote viewing data provided information that was not available through any other source. The results were not 100% accurate. No viewer hit every target. But the statistical analysis, conducted by independent evaluators including Professor Jessica Utz of the University of California, concluded that the results were far beyond what chance would predict. Utz stated in her formal evaluation that the statistical evidence for remote viewing was as strong as the evidence for many accepted medical treatments. Her co-evaluator, Ray Hyman, a skeptic, agreed that the results were statistically significant, but argued that this did not prove a psychic mechanism. This is the critical point. Even the skeptics brought in to debunk the program could not dismiss the data. They could argue about the explanation. Perhaps it was not psychic, perhaps there was some other mechanism, but they could not argue that the results were due to chance. Something was happening. The argument was about what? The CIA declassified the program in 1995 and announced its termination. The official reason was that remote viewing had not proven sufficiently reliable for operational intelligence use. But 23 years is a long time to fund something that does not work. $20 million is a significant investment in failure, and the program was not cancelled because the results were negative. It was cancelled, according to multiple participants, because the Cold War had ended and the political environment had shifted. The connection to the broader UFO phenomenon is direct. Several remote viewers involved in the program, including McMoneagle and Swann, reported perceiving non-human intelligences during their sessions. Swann wrote extensively about remote viewing the moon and perceiving structures and beings there. McMoneagle described encounters with non-human consciousness during sessions. These accounts were not part of the official program reports, but they are consistent with a pattern found throughout the phenomenon, that consciousness, not technology, may be the primary medium of contact. If remote viewing works, and 23 years of CIA funding, a Legion of Merit, and statistically significant results under double-blind conditions suggest that something works, then the implications extend far beyond intelligence gathering. It means consciousness can operate independently of the physical senses. It means the materialist model of the brain as the sole generator of awareness is incomplete. And it means that the reports from thousands of UFO witnesses who describe telepathic communication with non-human intelligence may not be as absurd as mainstream science has assumed. 23 years, $20 million. Results the skeptics could not explain away, and a government that said it did not work after funding it for more than 2 decades. Subscribe now and follow the evidence.